Well, it's great to have you join us on another edition of the program, Capital Market Live on Channels Television. I'm Ladi Williams. First off, let's see how your money performed during the week. We start first with the U.S. markets, which closed on Thursday broadly negative ahead of the Easter holiday as investors assessed latest earnings of the country's inflation reports. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed the day lower by 0.33%. The NASDAQ Composite was hardest hit. It declined by 2.14%, while the broader S&P 500 index dropped 1.21%. The three indexes lost more than 1% each this week. Well, in Europe, the major market indexes also closed on Thursday after the European Central Bank confirmed that its asset purchase program will end in the third quarter. UK's FTSE 100 rose by 0.47%. Germany's DAX gained 0.60%, while France's CAC index closed the day with 0.72% advance. Meanwhile, across Asia-Pacific, the markets were mostly negative on Friday as investors reacted to China's unexpected decision not to cut its key interest rate. China's Shanghai Composite lost 0.45%, while Japan's Nikkei 225 was down 0.29%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gained 0.67% on Friday. And back here in Nigeria, at the fixed income market, it was mostly bearish sentiment for the week as in the local bond segments, and as demand for FGN bonds remained tepid amid continued profit-taking activities on selected instruments. At the close of trading on Thursday, the overall average benchmark yields closed at 11.01%, indicating a week-on-week increase of 1.47%. At the Treasury bills market, activities remained bearish, with market participants readying bids for this week's NTB primary market auction in anticipation of an increase in NTB stop rates. Consequently, the average yield across all instruments inched higher by 2 basis points to 3.4%. This week's NTB PMA, the CBN offered 141.26 billion naira on the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day papers, and allotted 159.03 million across the three instruments. At the close of trading on Thursday, average benchmark yields for T-bills dropped by 0.31% week-on-week to 3.26, while the yield on the OMO bills fell by 0.28% to 3.52. And at the unlisted securities market, activities at the NASD OTC exchange ended the second week of April in the green as both security index and market capitalization recorded a 5.60% advance. At the same time, NASD investors gained 54.41 billion naira in value, which made the market capitalization to close at 1.03 billion naira this week, in contrast to 971.52 billion naira recorded on Friday last week. However, the total value of securities traded during the week declined by 33.11% as the market recorded a total of 149.11 billion naira in value. Meanwhile, total volume of securities traded on the NASD exchange went up by 6.87% to 4.17 million units, while total transactions or deals surged by 26.88% to 118 this week. And from there, we move to the equities market, which ended the second trading week of April in the green ahead of the Easter break as the benchmark performance indicators went up nearly 2%. The total value of listed equities also increased by more than 473 billion naira, largely due to intense bargain hunting for bellwether stocks such as MTN Nigeria, Dangote Cement, and equities across the five key counters of the NGX. Mayor topped a list of 51 gainers with a 41.59% increase on its share price. Academy Press led 17 other losers with 18.64% drop, while the trio of GTCO, Zenith, and Fidelity Bank were major contributors to the 1.24 billion total volume of shares traded this week. All right, now let's take a look at, we'll try to do a review of the market in a few minutes, but now let's go to our guest right there in Abuja. We have Mr. Oke Umano, Joining us on the program this week, the Securities and Exchange held the first Capital Market Committee meeting, and we're going to drill down on discussions had right there. Great to have you on the program. Good evening, and happy Easter.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening, and thank you for having me today.
Great to have you join us. So tell us, what were the key takeaways for you, from the committee meeting?
Okay. The committee meeting was a successful one. As usual, everyone in the industry gathered to talk about things that concern us, things that concern the development of the capital market. We spoke about first where we are on the AML CFT issues we have, what work we are supposed to do and we are doing around making sure Nigeria doesn't get into the FATF grey list again. And then we talked about, as usual, the unclaimed dividends issue and efforts being made to ensure that we solve the problem. And then there were reports about the work that has been done on the investment and securities bill that we are hoping will get passed soon, and also the National Savings Strategy report that has been submitted to the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. And a few other things around new products like derivatives, like the commodities markets and standards that we are trying to develop. Lots of things, all targeted at developing the capital market.
Quite interesting. But, looking at the capital market, performance in 2022, how would you, describe it? We've had the first quarter, go by now. How's it looking for you?
I think it's fair. Performance is fair. The stock market has, on the NGX All Share Index has done about 11% year to date, which is not a bad performance. Even on the fixed income side, the S&P 500, the S&P FMDQ fixed income index has done 7%. Okay, year to date. That's not bad for a first quarter. We think there will be improvements with all the work we are doing right now to deepen the market, to offer more support. But we also would like other parties, to join us in this work towards making our market an attractive one for everyone. So I would think that the market has done well. Even the commodities market has also done very well. The indices there have all gone above 7% in the first quarter. So I think generally the market has done well.
Quite interesting. And, talking about, discussions had at the meeting, a bill to repeal the Investment and Securities Act 2007 and to enact the Investments and Securities Act of 2021, that was discussed. Tell us about the Investments and Securities Act 2021.
Oh, okay. As you know, the ISA 2007 is the one that we've been working with, but it's been a long time between 2007 and this one that we are working on. There are a lot of things that weren't in our market at that time. It's a dynamic market. New products have come on, new challenges have come on, and so we thought it important, to refresh that law, our enabling law, and that's what we've been doing for about 2 years now. We've been working on it. It has certain things we need. For instance, we have issues around closeout netting in it. We have things around warehouse receipts, around securitization. These are things we did not have at the time the former or the one we presently use, the act we presently use, was passed. So we are excited about all the new opportunities that this act would offer when it is passed. So we are, we'll continue to work on it. We continue to call on all stakeholders to join hands with us to ensure it is passed as soon as possible.
Interesting. And, I know there were conversations had around, Ponzi schemes, with this act. And Nigerians have been bombarded by so many Ponzi schemes, at this point. How would this act address, this growing interest in Ponzi schemes?
Okay, the act strengthens the commissions, gives it more powers to, go after Ponzi schemes, and it also tries to bring in other stakeholders, to join this fight against Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes are bad, and it's important that we go after the promoters of these schemes, we close down these schemes, we prosecute them. So the act strengthens us the more and allows us to work better with law enforcement agencies, to combat this menace. But let me just seize this opportunity to once again ask Nigerians to always confirm the status of investment, the status of people who ask them to give them money to invest with the SEC. It's just a short, a look at the SEC website, and you would see a list of, registered capital market operators. And if you cannot check that, you can also always just reach us on sec@sec.gov.ng, and you'll be sure, attended to let you know when a capital market operator is registered, what products are registered and which ones are not. And to those people who keep promoting Ponzi schemes, this is a warning that the SEC will continue to come after you. The SEC will continue to close these Ponzi schemes, because one of the mandates we have is investor protection, and we are not going to fold our hands and watch Nigerians being fleeced of their hard-earned money.
Quite interesting. But, most of these, you've seen a lot of investors, wanting to make, good profit, and, so they fall into these too good to be true promises. But how do you identify Ponzi schemes, really?
Okay, any investment that is promising outrageous returns is suspect. So when someone promises you 100% return every quarter, I don't know what legitimate investment one can make to get those kinds of returns. So when it seems too good to be true, then it's probably not true. So that is the time to check, to ask, are these people registered? Is this product registered? So that's how to identify Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes always come with, outrageous promises. Even the capital market operators that we have and the funds that we have, we don't even let them, promise returns. Because really, you really cannot promise anyone any returns. But when people start telling you they will give you 50% return in a month or in 2 months, there's something wrong.
Quite interesting. But, talking about these schemes now, with their growing popularity, how does this all impact the economy?
It's bad for the economy, because what it does is it hurts our efforts at capital formation. No nation can develop without forming capital. We have a huge infrastructure gap. It is this capital we are supposed to use to address that gap, to plug that gap. When people put their monies into Ponzi schemes, they lose confidence in investing. They lose confidence in, saving. Someone spends many years saving money and then hands it over to a Ponzi scheme, and the Ponzi scheme absconds with the money. That whole thing, makes that person lose confidence in the markets, and that's what we must fight. Also, it's not fair. I mean, people work very hard to get this money, and someone just takes the money and runs away. So it's actually bad from both the individual's point of view and from the economy as a whole. So it's something that all of us must join hands to fight.
Right, because some of these losses actually run into billions. All right, Mr. Omeno, we'll continue the conversation just after this break. Do stay with us. This is Capital Market. Welcome back to Capital Market live on Channels Television. Well, we still have Mr. Omeno been discussing the post-SEC CMC Q1 meeting. Thank you so much, Mr. Omeno, for staying on the program.
Thank you.
All right, so the Standards Organization of Nigeria is collaborating with the Securities and Exchange Commission to, develop standards, for commodity trading in Nigeria. Can you tell us more about this?
Okay, that's an exciting collaboration that we have. As you know, we are trying to build a vibrant and robust commodities market. we cannot make the efforts we are making in agriculture complete without having a market where these things are sold, where agricultural commodities, minerals, solid minerals, and even the crude that we have, where they are sold. If we don't have such a market, then the cycle is not complete. The ecosystem is not complete. So we set out a few years ago to build a commodities ecosystem. We have put most things in place. Now is the time for us to arrive at standards, international standards for commodities, so that those standards will be used as a basis for trading. And that's where we thought to collaborate with the Standards Organization of Nigeria. And I must tell you that collaboration has been successful. It's ongoing. There's careful, calibration, assay of these commodities, and standards are being arrived at. In addition to that, we're also speaking with the London Bullion Markets Association to also establish standards for gold in Nigeria, so that the gold we are mining here can also be traded. So it's important that we establish markets for these things so that our people will get the most benefit from producing them.
Well, quite interesting. It'd be great, trading, some of these commodities, because we've seen most of them have a super cycle, in 2022. But I want to thank you so much, Mr. Okeumano, Chief Economist at the Securities and Exchange Commission. Thank you so much for sharing your weekend with us.
Thank you very much, and have a good Easter.
You too, you too. All right, now, so we're going to drill on the equities market performance. And joining us right now on the show, we have Olumide Adesina, financial market analyst, joining us on the program via Zoom. Great to have you, Olumide.
Yeah, great to have you, Ladi. Good evening.
Good evening. So quite a performance, from the in the equities market for Q1. But I want your assessment, right now of the last 3 months for the equities market.
Yeah, great question, Ladi. Despite the fact that we have growing geopolitical uncertainty across major markets around the world, and also the heightened security concerns in Africa's biggest economy, the Nigerian stock market came on strong footing in Q1. We saw asset appreciation across spectrum, rising about 3 trillion naira, meaning that the index opened earlier at about 22 trillion naira and ended March at over 25 trillion. And that was exciting because we saw decent earning reports. We're coming from an era of COVID-19 where a lot of stimulus spending enacted by the CBN really helped many of these banking stocks and also industrials. But surprisingly, if you look at what really weighed on the index positivity was the oil sector, which gathered about 28% appreciation relatively. We understand that what is happening in Russia and Ukraine has really distorted energy prices, and really that has really pushed Nigerians that have exposure in oil stocks to weigh positively on that stock. And stocks like Zeblat is really going above 52-week, suggesting that the momentum is with them, despite recent reports that suggested that they might lose out of the ExxonMobil sale due to NNPC's first refusal. We are seeing that the Nigerian stock, the Nigerian oil sector is really gathering investors' confidence, partly because, like I earlier said, high oil prices. But looking for the banking stock, also notable gains. One of Nigeria's most profitable entities. We look at the likes of Zenith Bank, brought in decent record sales. Also, GT, despite the fact that profit dipped in compared to 2020, they also brought in profits of about 221 billion naira. That really also with some positivity around the banking sector. You need to also recall that this is coming at the point where low interest income is at play. The Apex Bank have refused to be hawkish because it's trying to support the economy and trying to stimulate spending. So that has really affected interest income earning from banks. But having said that, I think one of the laggards were the pension, the insurance stocks. We saw that it dipped in Q1 by 6%, and that was partly because investors did not see anything exciting, where long expected consolidation among many of these insurance stocks, and also because many of these stocks are priced in some form of penny metrics, retail investors are usually very parabolic in making those movements. So positivity in Nigerian stock in Q1, when you compare it to what we see in Russia, is down 40%. Compared to what you see in the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq, it means that Nigerian investors have a reason to smile.
A reason to smile. Exactly, because,
yes,
we've seen global markets actually, go up and down, during this first quarter. But, let's, what stocks actually stood out for you, in the equities market this past week?
You can't ignore the big giant, MTN, of course.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, they got their Momo license final approval from CBN, and that also gives them a very systemic importance in the Nigerian financial ecosystem. And if you understand how it has played out in Kenya and Ghana, you will see why a lot of pundits are saying that this might be a game changer. But, we can't underestimate the Nigerian banking infrastructure and the fact that we've seen a lot of products come in play. Take the like of First Money by First Bank, take the like of Alert by Wema Bank, and also the recently introduced Naira will really give the banks pushing, and that's why we see GT having great exposure in that. In fact, statistics suggested that 40% of the Naira downloads come from GT. So it tells you that the banks are getting position. But one of the key advantages MTN is having, and that's why the share is trading above near its 52-week high, is because your phone bar becomes your digital wallet, and you don't need VPN, so it makes transaction very. Because of MTN has a very wider than means more users. But I think one of the things to consider is that they can't give out loans. They are not allowed to participate in commercial banking. Foreign transactions also cannot be done. The positivity is that investors are looking at it to bring in more revenues for MTN. And also GT2 is another exciting stock that I'm also looking at, despite the fact that I mentioned earlier, their profit dipped in 2021. They declared a dividend for 2021 at 3 Naira, which is very exciting. If you look at their dividend yield, it's moving about 12%. And also the bank is well positioned to get in much more bulk in 2022. They have one of the most solid corporate governance in the Nigerian banking industry. They have a great solid team. So I think with all those things said, I think
quite interesting.
Those two stocks.
And we're seeing, digital lending actually are growing at this time. Maybe sometime, in the future, we might see, some of these mobile money operators actually go, in that direction. But, would you recommend a buy, sell, or hold on stocks for, investors in the equities market at the moment?
Yeah, I think for me, buy would definitely be banking stocks. I don't want to mention particular names. Like I mentioned, if you look at 2021, despite the low interest regime, because of I mentioned that the CBN is trying to encourage civil, we saw that banks brought in decent gains, and we will see some banks like that have not declared dividend for a long while, like ETI, that's Ecobank, parent company, also declined. So it tells you that when interest rates definitely go on the upside, these bank earnings will definitely be positive. So I think exposure in that sector should not be ignored. Also, telcos, like I mentioned, surprisingly, it's not surprising to see MTN and Airtel trading at a premium right now. But I think for me, it's caution to hold, because we are in an election year, and historically, times have often shown that this period is when shares will usually moderate. So despite the fact we are seeing year-to-date gain on the Nigerian stock market over at around 10%, it might not be like that in Q2, because investors will reposition, look at the weakened security apparatus,
right,
especially in Nigerian oil sector, and that could weigh the longer run market.
All right, Olumide. Well, another shortened trading week next week. We'll see how the market plays out. Thank you so much, Olumide, for coming on the program. It was great having you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Olumide Adesina, financial market analyst. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next Saturday with another review of the market. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.